Are you an empath, people pleaser, spiritually led person in business for yourself, and yet up against that challenge to raise your price? I've definitely been there with the whole gut wrenching feeling of what it means to raise your price. And while I've had coaches in the past, be a bit belittling and say, like, just get on the computer and raise the number, the truth is, raising your price is never about the number. Raising your price comes back to the limiting beliefs from childhood about what it means to ask for what you want, your identity in being able to give, help, and serve others, and all of that messy feelings for putting yourself out there, not wanting to upset anybody, but doing a really good job. Whether that's within mediumship, being a wellness practitioner, a coach, when you've got that heartfelt business and want to help people, it's incredibly difficult to receive. And that's exactly where you want to focus your attention. All of those uncomfortable feelings about receiving, about asking for what you want, need some attention. I do have down the bottom there a link about the Feel Better Blueprint, and it will help you unpack those limiting feelings, the stress, the frustration, when it comes to the idea of raising your price. Now, you want to pay attention to old programs from childhood and think about, like, what was the consequence, or how did you have to prove or be good to get what you wanted? So we were trained, especially the empaths, we were trained when we were little to help and please and serve other people before we serve ourselves. We were trained to make it easier to sort of scan the room. Anybody who's stressed, we would adjust ourselves to keep the peace and make things easier for them. And so in business, when people are looking for that service, they are stressed. And so we instinctively go back into old patterns to people please, to accommodate, to self-abandon, to make sure the other person is looked after. So keep in mind, you are operating from a childhood pattern that worked when you were little, but as an adult, when you start to shift these limiting beliefs about why it's so difficult asking for what you want and why it's so difficult to receive your value, when you can unpack those beliefs, you don't need the willpower to raise your price. You naturally just radiate that self-confidence and that self-worth, knowing that your service helps them incredibly. Instead of them being stressed and needing, this service and that service, coming to you means that you give them that aha, that clarity, that they feel really good about themselves too. So it's a win-win. And that's exactly why you need to raise your price, is to be able to honor yourself, honor the service that you provide, and honor the person who is valuing and wanting to pay for your service. Hopefully this makes sense. Grab hold of that Feel Better Blueprint and start to unpack those limiting feelings, the stress, the frustration about asking for what you want and receiving. I'm Claire Chancellor, and I'll talk to you later. Bye, guys.